Hello all, hope you're doing well today. Today we are talking about chapter 6. This is part 4. We're looking at ergogenic aids and specifically we'll go into the BCAAs. Fun stuff, right? Here we go. The effectiveness of amino acid, amine, and related nitrogen containing supplements as ergogenic aids can vary depending on the specific supplement, individual factors, and the context in which they are used. Here's an overview of these types of supplements. Amino acid supplements are the building blocks of proteins, and they play essential roles in various physiological processes, including muscle protein synthesis and energy production. Certain amino acids, such as branched chain amino acids or BCAAs and glutamine, have been studied for their potential ergogenic effects. However, the evidence regarding their efficacy as ergogenic aids is mixed and context dependent. Some studies suggest that BCAA supplementation may reduce exercise-induced muscle damage and promote recovery in certain situations, while others show limited or inconclusive effects. Glutamine supplementation has not consistently shown significant performance-enhancing effects in well-trained individuals. We'll go into that in more detail. Amine supplements are compounds that contain a nitrogen atom and are involved in various physiological functions. Some commonly used amine supplements include creatine, beta-alanine, and tyrosine. Creatine supplementation has consistently shown to improve power, strength, and high-intensity exercise performance, particularly in activities that rely on the phosphagen energy system. Beta-alanine supplementation has been associated with improved anaerobic performance and increased time to exhaustion in high-intensity activities. Tyrosine supplementation may have potential benefits in enhancing cognitive function and reducing fatigue, particularly in stressful or demanding situations. While nitrogen-containing supplements such as nitrate and citrulline have gained attention for their potential effects on exercise performance and vascular health, nitrate supplementation, often derived from sources like beetroot juice, has shown promising effects in improving endurance performance, reducing oxygen cost of exercise, and lowering blood pressure. Citrulline supplementation has been studied for its potential role in enhancing exercise performance through increased nitric oxide production and improved blood flow. Arginine, a conditionally essential amino acid, has several functions in human metabolism. One of its most important is to serve as a precursor for nitric oxide synthesis, or NO. Nitric oxide acts as a vasodilator to increase blood flow. Citrulline also is an amino acid, but is not one of the 20 essential or non-essential amino acids because it is not involved in protein synthesis. However, dietary citrulline is eventually taken up by the kidney and metabolized to generate large amounts of arginine. Hickner and others noted that citrulline supplementation increases plasma arginine levels to a higher level than arginine supplementation. Currently, there is limited research regarding the effect of arginine and citrulline supplementation on exercise performance in healthy individuals. Certainly, more research needs to be conducted, but if drinking beetroot juice or eating green leafy vegetables is more effective at increasing nitric oxide levels, then the ingestion of citrulline supplements may be unnecessary. Research has shown that infusing any of a number of amino acids into the blood potentiates the release of human growth hormone, or HGH, a polypeptide. HGH is released from the pituitary gland into the bloodstream, affecting all tissues. One of its effects is to stimulate the production of another hormone, insulin-like growth factor 1, that spurs growth of tissue, including muscle tissue. Some amino acids may also stimulate the release of insulin, which is an anabolic hormone, from the pancreas. Although more than a half dozen amino acids may stimulate HGH release when infused, The effect of oral supplementation is less clear. Arginine supplementation may increase HGH secretion at rest, but impair it during exercise. Arginine, lysine, and ornithine separately or in various combinations have received the most research attention regarding an ergogenic effect for strength and power type athletes. They have been advertised in bodybuilding magazines as being more powerful than anabolic steroids, potent drugs used by some athletes to increase muscle mass. The advertisers apparently are capitalizing on the potential of these amino acids to enhance HGH release. Several studies with better experimental designs have not shown any significant ergogenic effect of arginine and lysine or other similar amino acid combinations. Although tryptophan is one of the amino acids that may increase the release of HGH, its theoretical ergogenic effect is based upon another function. A neurotransmitter in the brain, serotonin, is derived from tryptophan. This neurotransmitter may induce sleepiness and elicit a mellow mood. Segura and Ventura hypothesized that it may help to decrease the perception of pain. They postulate that individuals who show the best tolerance of or resistance to pain may be able to delay the onset of fatigue, and that tryptophan supplementation therefore might improve exercise performance. Based on this limited data, tryptophan does not appear to be an effective ergogenic in either short-term or prolonged exercise tasks in exercise-trained individuals, which is a finding also supported in the review by Anton Wagenmakers. Some adverse health effects have been associated with tryptophan supplementation and are discussed in the next section. The three BCAAs are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. BCAA supplementation has been theorized to enhance exercise performance in a variety of ways. BCAAs, particularly leucine, could be used as a fuel during exercise to prevent adverse changes in neurotransmitter function, to spare the use of glycogen, and to prevent or decrease the net rate of protein degradation. These effects could influence mental and physical performance and may also favorably affect body composition, but most research has focused on the central fatigue hypothesis. Eric Newsom, a biochemist at Oxford University, proposed the central fatigue hypothesis, postulating that high levels of serum-free tryptophan in conjunction with low levels of BCAA or a high serum-free tryptophan and BCAA ratio may be a major factor in the etiology of fatigue during prolonged endurance exercise. Research with animals has shown that high free tryptophan and BCAA ratio may lead to an increased production of serotonin. Newsom suggested that serum BCAA eventually decrease in endurance exercise, such as marathon running, because they may be used for energy production. Such an effect would possibly increase the serum-free tryptophan and BCAA ratio, facilitating the transport of tryptophan into the brain and increasing serotonin production, which could lead to fatigue because increased serotonin levels may depress central nervous system functions. But some but not all research with humans supports this finding. According to the central fatigue hypothesis, the neurotransmitter serotonin is believed to play a role in the onset of CNS fatigue during exercise. Increased serotonin levels in the brain can lead to feelings of fatigue and reduced motivation, potentially limiting performance. One proposed mechanism suggests that the BCAA supplementation can decrease the entry of tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin, into the brain by competing with it for transport across the blood-brain barrier. This competition may result in lower serotonin synthesis and subsequent delay the onset of CNS fatigue. Several studies have investigated the effects of BCAA supplementation on exercise performance and fatigue. While some studies have shown positive effects on reducing perceived fatigue and improving endurance performance, the overall evidence is inconclusive. The efficacy of BCAA supplementation may depend on various factors, including exercise intensity, duration, and individual differences among athletes. It's worth noting that the central fatigue hypothesis is just one proposed mechanism to explain the effects of BCAA supplementation on fatigue during exercise. Other factors such as glycogen depletion, hydration status, and psychological factors also play significant roles in exercise performance and fatigue. The relationship between serotonin and fatigue is complex, and it involves the interplay of multiple neurotransmitters, including dopamine. While serotonin has been associated with certain depressant effects that could contribute to fatigue, dopamine is generally considered to have more stimulant-like properties and is involved in motivation, reward, and arousal. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in the brain's reward and pleasure pathways. It is involved in regulating motivation, movement, and mood. Dopamine is often associated with feelings of pleasure, focus, and increased energy. It can enhance alertness and motivation, which are important factors in counteracting fatigue. The balance between serotonin and dopamine, as well as other neurotransmitters, is thought to be essential in regulating fatigue and alertness. Changes in the relative levels or activities of these neurotransmitters can influence the perception of fatigue and overall general energy levels. In the context of exercise and physical activity, dopamine is believed to be involved in the motivation and reward aspects, while serotonin has been implicated in the regulation of mood and pain perception. The interplay between these neurotransmitters, as well as other factors such as individual differences and the specific demands of the activity, can contribute to the overall experience of fatigue during exercise. It's important to note that the interactions between neurotransmitters and their effects on fatigue are still fully not understood. The human brain is a complex system, and the regulation of fatigue involves numerous factors beyond just serotonin and dopamine. Factors like adenosine, noradrenaline, and other neuropeptides also play roles in fatigue and alertness. Overall, the relationship between neurotransmitters and fatigue is intricate, and it's important to understand the complex interplay between different neurotransmitters when trying to understand the mechanisms underlying fatigue. Further research is necessary to fully elucidate these interactions and their impact on fatigue perception and management. Research on the effects of branched chain amino acid or BCAA supplementation on mental performance and perceived exertion has yielded mixed findings. Here's an overview of the research findings related to the aspects. The central fatigue hypothesis suggests that the brain's neurotransmitter balance, particularly the ratio between serotonin and dopamine, can influence mental fatigue and cognitive performance during exercise. BCAA supplementation has been proposed as a means to potentially modulate this neurotransmitter balance and improve mental performance. However, the research on the effects of BCAA supplementation on mental performance is limited and inconsistent. Some studies have reported improvements in cognitive function, mental fatigue, and mood during exercise or in strenuous situations, while others have not found significant effects. Perceived exertion refers to an individual's subjective perception of how hard they are working during exercise. BCAA supplementation has been investigated for its potential effects on reducing perceived exertion during exercise, and some studies have reported that BCAA supplementation can lower perceived exertion and improve perceived recovery, particularly during endurance exercise. This may contribute to individuals being able to sustain exercise intensity for longer periods of time or perceive exercise as less strenuous. However, other studies have found no significant effects on perceived exertion with BCAA supplementation. It is important to note that individual responses to BCAA supplementation can vary, and the effects may depend on factors such as the dosage, timing, exercise type, and individual characteristics. Additionally, the research in this area is very limited, and more studies are needed to fully understand the effects of BCAA supplementation on mental performance and perceived exertion. BCAAs can be used as both acute and chronic supplements in the context of exercise and sport nutrition. Acute BCAA supplementation refers to the consumption of BCAAs before, during, or immediately after a single exercise session or event. The purpose of acute BCAA supplementation is to provide a readily available source of amino acids for energy production, muscle protein synthesis, and to potentially attenuate muscle damage during intense or prolonged exercise. During exercise, BCAAs can be oxidized for energy by skeletal muscles, particularly during prolonged endurance activities. By providing exogenous BCAAs, the idea is to spare the body's endogenous amino acid stores and minimize muscle breakdown during exercise. This can be especially relevant during endurance exercise when muscle glycogen stores become depleted. Acute BCAA supplementation has been studied for its potential benefits in reducing exercise-induced muscle damage, attenuating muscle soreness, improving endurance performance, and reducing perceived exertion. However, the research on these effects is mixed, and the benefits may depend on various factors such as exercise duration, intensity, individual differences, and overall dietary protein intake. Chronic BCAA supplementation refers to the regular and prolonged use of BCAAs as a dietary supplement over an extended period, typically as part of a balanced diet and training regimen. The purpose of chronic BCAA supplementation is to support muscle protein synthesis, enhance recovery, and potentially improve exercise performance and body composition. BCAAs are essential amino acids and they play a vital role in muscle protein synthesis, the process by which new muscle proteins are built. By providing an adequate supply of BCAAs, especially leucine, which is a key regulator of muscle protein synthesis, chronic supplementation may support muscle repair and growth, particularly when combined with resistance training. Chronic BCAA supplementation has been investigated for its potential benefits in promoting muscle hypertrophy, reducing muscle protein breakdown, and enhancing recovery and improving body composition. However, it's important to note that the effects of chronic BCAA supplementation on muscle growth and performance is still debated in the scientific literature, and the individual response can vary. Furthermore, it's worth mentioning that BCAAs are naturally present in dietary protein sources such as meat, poultry, fish, dairy products, and legumes. Therefore, meeting one's protein requirements through a well-balanced diet that includes adequate protein sources is generally recommended before considering BCAA supplementation. As with any dietary supplement, it's important to approach acute or chronic BCAA supplementation with caution, and it's advisable to consult with the healthcare professional or sports nutritionist for personalized guidance based on individual needs and goals. Carbohydrates serve as the primary fuel source during exercise, particularly for high intensity and endurance activities. When carbohydrates are consumed, they are broken down into glucose, which is used by the muscles as a source of energy. During prolonged exercise, muscle glycogen stores, which are the stored form of glucose in the muscles, can become depleted. This can lead to fatigue and a decrease in exercise performance. However, BCAAs, which include leucine, isoleucine, and valine, can also be oxidized within the muscle tissue to provide energy during exercise. BCAA supplementation may be considered when carbohydrate availability is limited, such as during low carbohydrate diets or prolonged endurance activities. In situations where carbohydrate intake is sufficient, the body can rely on the carbohydrates consumed to meet the energy demands of exercise. Adequate carbohydrate consumption helps maintain muscle glycogen levels delaying fatigue and ensuring optimal performance. It's worth noting that the majority of individuals can meet their carbohydrate needs through a well-balanced diet that includes whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and other carbohydrate-rich foods. Prioritizing a sufficient carbohydrate intake before considering BCAA supplementation is generally recommended. However, there may be certain situations where BCAA supplementation could be considered, such as during very prolonged endurance events or in individuals following specific dietary protocols. Branched-chain amino acid supplementation has been investigated in the context of weight control sports and athletes who are on a diet. Weight control sports such as bodybuilding, weightlifting, or combat sports often involve periods of caloric restriction and the goal of reducing body fat while preserving muscle mass. In such cases, BCAA supplementation may have potential benefits. During caloric restriction or dieting phase, there is a risk of muscle protein breakdown. BCAAs, particularly leucine, have been suggested to have a general greater ability to stimulate muscle protein synthesis and help preserve muscle mass during periods of energy deficit. BCAAs, especially leucine, have been proposed to have an impact on appetite regulation. Some studies suggest that BCAA supplementation may help reduce feelings of hunger and improve satiety, which could potentially support adherence to a caloric restricted diet. BCAAs can be oxidized within muscle tissue for energy during exercise. When carbohydrates are restricted, BCAAs serve as an alternative energy source, potentially helping to maintain exercise performance. It's important to note that the evidence regarding the effectiveness of BCAA supplementation for weight control sports and athletes on a diet is mixed. Some studies suggest potential benefits in terms of muscle preservation and appetite regulation, while others do not show significant effects. The effectiveness of BCAA supplementation may also depend on various factors, such as the individual's training status, overall diet composition, and specific dietary and training protocols. Additionally, it's crucial to consider that BCAAs are not a magic solution for weight loss or muscle preservation. The overall diet, including adequate caloric intake, macronutrient distribution, and nutrient timing, plays a significant role in achieving desired body composition goals. And that is all that I have for you today. I look forward to talking with you again. We'll continue our conversation in Chapter 6, talking about ergogenic aids. Talk with you soon. Have a good day.